Hello, and welcome back to Daily English Podcast, the place where we learn more than English. We learn how to live better, how to connect deeper, how to grow stronger, from the inside out. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining me. I'm so happy you're here, and if you've been here before, welcome back. You already know this is not just another lesson. It's a journey through language, life, and the small changes that lead to big results. Today's episode is something very special. We're going to explore a powerful question. How do you make people like you in just 90 seconds? I know that sounds impossible. You might be thinking, how can someone decide if they like me in such a short time? How can I make a good impression if I'm not confident, if I don't have perfect English, if I feel nervous every time I speak? But I want you to stay with me, because this episode is not about changing who you are. It's about unlocking what's already inside you, your natural ability to connect with others, to make people feel safe, and to create trust that lasts. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be famous. You don't need to say the perfect thing. You just need to understand something very human. People may hear your words, but they feel your energy. And if your energy feels kind, honest, and warm, people will like you. Not after 10 minutes, not after 10 meetings, but sometimes in the very first 90 seconds. So let's dive into the small, powerful things that make a big difference when you meet someone new. Whether it's a job interview, a new friend, a teacher, a client, a stranger, these ideas will help you connect more easily and speak more confidently. Let's begin. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, a young woman named Anna was invited to her company's annual dinner. She was new. She had just joined as an intern. She didn't know anyone. She wore a simple dress, tied her hair back, and practiced a few polite English phrases in the mirror before she left. As she arrived, she saw people standing in small groups chatting and laughing. Everyone seemed so confident, so polished. She stood quietly near the entrance, feeling invisible. That's when a senior executive walked past. She had one chance, one moment. So she smiled, not nervously, not too wide, just a simple, kind smile. She said, "Good evening, sir. I'm Anna. I'm new here. It's nice to meet you." Her voice wasn't perfect. Her words weren't fancy, but her tone, it was warm. Her eyes, steady. Her body, relaxed and open. That executive stopped. He smiled back, and instead of walking past her, he said, "It's nice to meet you too, Anna. Come, let me introduce you to someone." That moment changed everything. That 90-second connection opened doors. Why? Because she showed something that words alone cannot show. She showed confidence, without arrogance. She showed humility, without fear. She made him feel safe, respected, and valued. And that's what people are really looking for. Not perfection, but presence. Now let's talk about what really happens in those first 90 seconds when you meet someone new. There's something happening that most people don't. Notice, it's not a conversation. It's not a test. It's not even about what you say. It's about what you communicate without words. Your brain and the other person's brain are scanning each other, looking for signs of safety, signs of respect, signs of connection, and it all happens fast. Do you look friendly? Do you seem interested? Do you make people feel welcome, or do you look distracted, cold, closed off? These are the real questions that decide how people feel about you, and they're answered before a full sentence is spoken. Let's break this down even more. First, your posture. Stand tall, but not stiff. Relax your shoulders. Keep your head up. Let your arms rest naturally. When your body is open, it sends a clear message. I'm confident. I'm safe. I'm ready to connect. Now let's be honest. Some people struggle with posture. They slouch, they fidget, they cross their arms or stare at the floor. Why? Because they're nervous. But remember, confidence is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of calm, and calm starts with your body. So practice standing in a way that feels natural, balanced, and steady. Next, your facial expression. Your face tells the truth, even when your words don't. Are you smiling? Not a fake smile, not a please like me smile, but a warm, gentle, real smile. One that says, I'm happy to see you. That kind of smile is magnetic. It invites people in. It tells them, you're safe here. A smile doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're open. And openness is what creates connection. Now let's talk about eye contact. This one is powerful, but also tricky. Some people avoid eye contact because they're shy. Others stare too hard, and it feels aggressive. The secret is balance. Look into the person's eyes with curiosity, not intensity. Don't stare. Observe. Don't scan the room while they're talking. Focus on them. When your eyes say, I see you, I respect you, people feel it, and they remember it. Your voice. Now this is where many English learners get nervous. What if I say something wrong? What if my pronunciation isn't perfect? What if I forget a word? Let me tell you something important. People don't just hear your words. They feel your tone. If your tone is soft, warm, and interested, people forgive your mistakes. They overlook your grammar. They give you time. Why? Because they feel your attitude. A soft voice tells people you're not a threat. A clear voice tells people you believe in yourself. So before a meeting or conversation, warm up your voice. Speak out loud. Read something slowly. Breathe deeply. Let your voice carry peace, not pressure. And finally, gestures. Your hands matter. How you move them. Where you place them. Are you clenching your fists? Are your arms crossed tightly, or are your hands open, relaxed, natural? When your gestures are calm, you become more believable. When your gestures match your words, people trust you more. Here's something interesting. Research shows that when people say one thing with words, but another thing with their body, others believe the body. So if you say, I'm happy to be here, but your face looks stressed, your tone is flat, and your hands are closed, people won't believe the words, they'll believe the signals. So now, imagine all of this coming together. You walk into a room. You see someone new. You smile softly. You stand tall. You make gentle eye contact. You greet them with a calm, clear voice. You let your hands rest naturally, and you say something simple like, Hi, I'm Sarah. It's nice to meet you. That's it. That's all it takes. In that short moment, you've already done more than speak English. You've spoken human. You've said, I'm here. I see you. I respect you. And that is more powerful than any vocabulary word. Let's pause here for now. This is just the beginning. In the next section, we'll go deeper. We'll talk about emotional mirroring, listening to connect, not just reply, and the power of showing genuine curiosity, even if you don't know what to say. Because making people like you isn't a trick. It's not manipulation. It's about creating real connection with honesty, warmth, and presence. Stay with me. The best is still to come. You already know about posture, tone, gestures, and eye contact. But here's something just as important. People like people who make them feel understood. And the fastest way to make someone feel understood is to listen. Not just listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes, your face, your silence, your presence. Let me explain. A man named David once went to a party with his wife. He didn't know many people there, and to be honest, he wasn't excited. He preferred small, quiet settings. But as he was waiting by the drinks table, a young man walked up and asked, "Hi there, first time here?" David nodded. "Yeah, my wife's friend invited us." That could have been the end. But the young man smiled gently and said, "Nice. It's always strange the first time, right?" David chuckled. A little. Then the young man asked, "What do you do?" And for the next 5 minutes, David talked about his work, his hobbies, his latest project. Not once did the young man interrupt. He just nodded, smiled, reacted naturally, and asked small questions that showed he was really listening. At the end of the night, David told his wife, "You know that guy I spoke to? I liked him." His wife asked, "Why?" David said, "I don't know. He just felt easy to talk to." That's it. He didn't tell jokes. He didn't show off. He just listened with real interest, and that made David feel liked. People remember how you make them feel. Now let me tell you something simple, but life-changing. You don't need to be interesting. You need to be interested. Being interesting is about trying to impress people. Being interested is about focusing on them. And here's the truth. When you make someone feel interesting, they will find you interesting. It's a beautiful mirror. So, the next time you meet someone, stop worrying about saying something impressive. Start by being curious. Ask about their day. Ask what they love doing. Ask something small. But ask it with full attention. That attention is rare, and rare things are valuable. Let's look at this in everyday English conversation. Imagine this. You meet someone at work or school. You could say, "Hi, how are you?" They answer, "I'm fine," and the conversation ends. Or you could say, "Hi, how's your day going so far?" Now they're thinking. They pause, they smile, they might say, "Busy, but not bad." That small change from "How are you?" to "How's your day going?" shows more presence. It feels more human, because it's not just a routine. It's a sign. I see you. I care. Small changes. Big difference. Now let's talk about emotional mirroring. This is not copying people. It's about matching their emotional energy, so they feel safe with you. Here's how it works. If someone is quiet and calm and you speak very fast and loud, they may feel overwhelmed, but if you slow down, soften your voice, and meet their pace, they feel understood. This is emotional mirroring. It's a way of saying, "I'm with you." And it creates trust. Fast. Try it. Next time you're in a conversation, notice the other person's energy. Then gently match it in your voice, your body, your rhythm. You'll be surprised how quickly they open up because they don't feel judged. They feel accepted. Let's take a break here and reflect. Think of someone you admire, someone you feel calm around, someone you trust. Now ask yourself, what is it about them? Is it their words, or is it how they look at you, how they speak to you, how they listen without rushing, how they make you feel like you matter? These are the real qualities that make someone likable. And guess what? You can learn every one of them. You don't need a big personality. You need a big heart. You don't need perfect speech. You need sincere presence. That's all. Let's talk about the power of the pause. Most people rush when they speak, especially in English. They're afraid of silence. But silence is not your enemy. Silence is space, and space creates comfort. When you speak slowly, with pauses, people feel more relaxed. They have time to process. They have time to breathe. You don't need to talk fast to impress people. You need to talk clearly to connect with them. So next time you speak, pause. Let your words land. Let your tone carry your feeling. Let the moment be real, not rushed. Now I want to share something important. There's no formula for being liked, because people are different. Some people like funny. Others like calm. Some like serious. Others like playful. But no matter the type, there's one thing that works every time. Sincerity. If your smile is real, if your interest is real, if your kindness is real, then people feel it. You don't need to pretend. You just need to show up with your heart open, even if you make language mistakes, even if your accent is strong, even if you feel nervous. None of that matters as much as your sincerity, and that's something anyone can practice, no matter your level of English. Let's bring this to life. Imagine a situation. You're at a coffee shop. You see someone from your English class. You've never spoken before. You feel shy. But you decide to say something. You walk up, smile, and say, "Hey, I think we're in the same class, right?" They look at you and smile back. "Yeah, we are." And just like that, a door opens. Now you say, "I'm still learning, so I'm nervous to talk sometimes, but I'm trying to practice more." They laugh. "Me too. My English isn't perfect either." Now you both relax, because both of you showed honesty, and that honesty made you feel safe. This is how people like you, not by being perfect, but by being real. Let's keep going, because by now you understand something deep. People don't just listen to your words. They feel your presence. They feel your attitude, and most of all, they feel how you make them feel. That's the true magic of connection. Now let's talk about something powerful that we often ignore. Subconscious communication. This is what happens when two people meet, and without saying anything, they feel something. Warmth, distance, curiosity, tension. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt someone liked you, or immediately felt someone didn't? That's subconscious communication. It's not magic. It's signals. Your brain is reading them all the time, without your permission. And the good news? You can control the signals you send. You can train yourself to send messages that say, "You're safe with me. I respect you. I'm happy you're here." And when people feel that, even without words, they start to like you. Fast. Let's break it down. It all starts with how you carry yourself. Do you walk with calm? Do you sit with ease? Do you look at people with soft eyes? Or do you rush, tense your shoulders, look away, and move like you're trying to escape? People notice, even if they don't say it, even if they don't understand it, they feel it. And feelings build opinions faster than words. So how do we train this kind of subconscious connection? We practice awareness. We become present in our own bodies. We slow down, we relax, and we send the signal, "I am here, and I am open." You don't have to talk more. You have to be more present. Let your body speak the language of calm confidence. Let your breath show that you are safe. and so are they. Let your stillness create comfort. That's the kind of power people remember. That's the kind of presence people like, even before the first word is spoken. Now let me share a story. There was a man named Luis. He was a photographer. Quiet, kind, gentle. At every event, people would gather around him, not because he talked a lot, but because they felt calm around him. He would say simple things like, "You look great today," or "Would you like to see the photo?" And people would smile, open up, laugh more. One day, a guest asked him, "How do you make people so comfortable?" He smiled and said, "I just give people space to be themselves." That's it. He didn't push. He didn't try too hard. He simply offered space and presence. And people liked him, because people like being seen without pressure. They like being heard without judgment. They like being near people who don't make them feel small, and you can be that person. Even if your English is not fluent yet, even if you're shy, even if you don't know what to say, because it's not about what you say. It's about who you are when you say it. Let's go back to the power of stillness. In a noisy world, stillness is strength. When everyone is rushing, the calm person stands out. When everyone is trying to prove something, the gentle person becomes memorable. So when you walk into a room, slow down. Don't rush to speak. Don't rush to perform. Just breathe. Let people feel your peace, and your peace will speak louder than your words. Now let's go deeper into something called emotional temperature. Every person carries emotional temperature, like warmth, coolness, fire, or even cold. Some people are warm. When they enter a space, they make everyone feel included. Their presence is soft. Their attention is strong. Their words are light. Others are cold. They may not even mean to be, but their body is closed. Their eyes are distant. Their voice is sharp. Which one do you want to be? If you want to make people like you, raise your emotional temperature, turn up your warmth. How? Here are small actions that work like emotional sunshine. Look at someone and genuinely smile, not because you're trying to be nice, but because you're happy to share the moment. Say someone's name when you speak to them. Names are personal. They make people feel important. Say things like, "It's so good to see you. I've heard great things about you. I really appreciate your time," not as tricks, but as real, gentle gifts, kind words, honest tone, steady eye contact. You don't have to say a lot. You just have to say a little, with real feeling. That's how you build warmth, and warmth melts resistance. Even shy people open up when they feel safe. Even quiet people shine when they feel accepted, and you can be the one who creates that space. That's leadership. That's influence. That's likability in the deepest, most human form. Let's keep going, because another important part of connection is timing. Sometimes we say the right thing, but at the wrong time. Someone is tired, or sad, or angry, or distracted, and we don't notice. So we try harder, we talk more, we push, and they pull away. But if we just paused, just watched, just waited a few moments, we would have seen the truth. They weren't ready yet. So here's the lesson. Don't chase connection. Create space for it. Let people come to you when they feel ready. Let silence be a doorway, not a dead end. Let your timing be kind. That shows emotional intelligence. That shows maturity. And that's something people deeply respect, even if they can't explain why. Now here's another real story. A woman named Julia worked in a hospital as a nurse. She met dozens of patients every day. Some were scared, some were angry, some were rude, and others were just tired. One day, her friend asked her, "How do you stay so patient with everyone?" Julia smiled and said, "I try to meet people where they are, not where I want them to be." That sentence changed the way I think about connection. I try to meet people where they are. It's simple, but so deep. Because that's the secret. Not to fix people, not to change them, not to impress them, but just meet them where they are. If they're tired, be soft. If they're excited, be bright. If they're sad, be gentle. If they're closed, be patient. And slowly, something opens. That's when people start to like you. Not because of your words, not because of your background, but because you met them with grace. And that, my friend, is unforgettable. Let's take a breath here and just sit with this truth. You don't have to force connection. You don't have to beg for attention. You don't have to change who you are. You just have to become more aware of how others feel and respond with kindness. The rest will follow. That's how people connect, that's how they remember you, and that's how they like you, in just 90 seconds. Now let's move into something every person faces in real life. What do you do when things don't go as planned? You meet someone, you want to make a good impression, but then something awkward happens. Maybe you say something wrong. Maybe your English isn't clear. Maybe they look away, or seem bored, or even ignore you. In that moment, you feel small, you feel embarrassed, and a voice in your head says, "They don't like me." Let's talk about that voice, because it lies. Most of the time, it's not about you, it's about the situation. Maybe they were distracted. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they just didn't know how to respond. But your mind turns it into rejection, and you carry it. You become quieter. You hide. You stop trying. Let me tell you the truth. Awkward moments happen to everyone, even the most confident people. What makes the difference is how you respond. So here's the secret. When things go wrong, don't shrink. Just smile, breathe, and stay calm. Because confidence is not being perfect. Confidence is recovering with grace. Let me share a story. A man named Rami once gave a short speech at his office. He practiced it. He memorized the key points. But during the speech, he forgot a line. He froze. There was silence. His heart raced. Then he laughed gently, looked at the group, and said, "Looks like my brain took a little break. Give me a second." Everyone chuckled. And he continued. Afterward, people came up to him and said, "That was great." Not because he was flawless, but because he was human. And he didn't panic. He recovered with humor and humility. That's what people admire. So when you feel awkward, don't fight it. Own it. Turn it into a moment of connection. Because people like people who don't take themselves too seriously. They like people who can smile through the small mistakes. That's real strength. Now let's go further. What if someone doesn't respond the way you expected? You say hi, and they just nod. You try to connect, and they walk away. You open up, and they stay closed. Here's what I want you to remember. Their reaction is not your responsibility. Your job is to show up with kindness. What they do with that kindness is up to them. Some people are not ready to connect. Some people are carrying pain you can't see. Some people are simply not in the right space, and that's okay. Don't take it personally. Be proud that you tried, because trying takes courage. And every time you try, even if it doesn't go perfectly, you become stronger. You learn. you grow, and the next time, it gets easier. So don't let one cold moment freeze your spirit. Stay warm. Stay open. Keep practicing connection, even when it feels hard. That's how you grow social confidence. That's how you develop real charisma. Now let's shift focus, because there's something you can do every day that helps people like you naturally. And it's not big, it's small. It's quiet, but it's powerful. It's called noticing. Notice when someone seems tired and say, "Rough day?" Notice when someone wears something nice and say, "I like your style." Notice when someone tries hard and say, "I saw the effort. Great job." These tiny observations make people feel seen, and feeling seen is one of the deepest human needs. You don't have to change the world, just brighten someone's moment. Notice what others ignore. Notice what matters to them, because that's what they'll remember. They'll say, "That person made me feel human. That person noticed me," and that makes you unforgettable. Let's keep going. Another way to build connection fast is through shared laughter. You don't have to be a comedian, but lightness helps. If you can laugh at yourself, if you can smile through awkwardness, if you can find humor in everyday things, people relax around you. Why? Because laughter lowers defenses. It tells people, "I'm not here to compete. I'm not dangerous. I'm just like you." Laughter is not about being funny. It's about being free. Free from pressure, free from fear, free from pretending. Let that lightness come through in how you speak. Be kind, be calm, be real, and sometimes be playful. Even a small smile in your tone makes people feel safe. It says, "You can be yourself with me." And when people feel that, they trust you, even in 90 seconds. Let's pause here again. Think about the people you like most. Why do you like them? Is it because they have perfect grammar, perfect clothes, perfect timing, or is it because they make you feel safe, understood, not judged? That's the feeling you want to offer others. You don't need to be impressive, you just need to be genuine. And that's something anyone, at any English level, can do. Let's recap. So far, we've talked about body language, tone of voice, energy listening, mirroring, stillness, recovery from awkwardness, daily habits like noticing and lightness. And they all point to one truth. Connection is a skill. Not a gift, a skill, which means it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it gets better with time. So the next time you meet someone, ask yourself, can I make this person feel safe? Can I offer them presence, not pressure? Can I notice something real? If the answer is yes, then you're already likable. Even if you say the wrong word, even if your voice shakes a little, even if the conversation is short, what people remember is how they felt around you. And that, my friend, is in your control. Let's continue. We've already learned that people are not looking for perfect speech. They're looking for real presence. And now we're going even deeper. Because if you want to create connection that people remember, not just for seconds, but for years, there's one more secret you need to know. Emotional anchors. These are small moments that touch the heart, moments that create a little spark in the memory. They're not dramatic, they're not loud, they're simple, but they feel true. Let me give you an example. One day, a young woman named Mia was walking through the park. She saw an elderly man sitting alone. She smiled, nodded politely, and kept walking. But something told her to turn back. She walked over, stood a few feet away, and said, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" The man looked up, surprised. Then his eyes softened, and he smiled back. "It really is," he said. and I didn't expect to have a conversation today. Mia didn't stay long, just a few minutes. But she gave him something more than small talk. She gave him attention, warmth, a human moment. That small gesture became an emotional anchor. The kind of moment that stays in the heart. You can create these too. In daily life, through kindness, through presence, through being someone who doesn't just exist, but notices. When someone is struggling, you say, "I see it's been a hard day. Just want you to know, I'm here." When someone is quiet, you say, "You don't have to say anything. I'm glad you're here." When someone shares something painful, you don't rush to fix it. You say, "Thank you for trusting me." These are anchors. They don't take much time, but they leave a deep emotional print, and people remember how they felt around you, long after they forget what you said. Now let's talk about the power of a small compliment. Not the fake kind. Not the loud kind, the real kind. The compliment that shows you're paying attention. Let's be honest. We all like to be noticed. We all want to feel appreciated, but we don't always say it to each other. Sometimes we're too busy. Sometimes we assume they already know. Sometimes we're afraid it'll sound awkward, but compliments, real ones, are gifts. They make people feel valued. You can say, "I like how you explain things. You make them feel simple. I admire your calm energy. It's peaceful. You're really thoughtful. That's rare." These words are not long, but they're specific, and specific is powerful. It means you noticed. It means you felt something, and it makes the other person feel seen. You don't need to say compliments every minute. But once in a while, when it's real, let it out. Because the people who express positive feelings create stronger relationships. They become magnets. People feel safe with them. Now here's something deeper. Let's say you want to build connection not just once but over time. You want people to like you and keep liking you. What do you think matters most? Charm, talent, exciting stories? No. The answer is consistency. Being consistent in your energy, consistent in your kindness, consistent in how you treat people, even when no one is watching. That's what builds trust, and trust builds likability. Let me explain. Imagine someone is super friendly one day and cold the next. You don't know who they really are. So you pull away, but if someone is kind again, and again, and again, even in small ways, you begin to trust them, and that trust becomes a quiet friendship, a bond, a space where you feel safe. That's the power of consistency. It may not be exciting, but it's real, and real is what people stay close to. So how can you be consistent? It's simple. Don't act. Just be. Be the same person in front of the boss and the cleaner. Be the same person on your good days and your tired days. Be honest about your mood, without hurting others. Say things like, "I'm a little tired today, but I'm still glad to see you." That's consistent, that's real, and people will respect that far more than fake smiles. Here's another piece of the puzzle. People like people who create comfort, not chaos. Comfort doesn't mean being boring. It means being emotionally steady. When you show up with peaceful energy, people let their guard down. You become a resting space, not a battlefield. So ask yourself, do I give people peace or pressure? Do I rush to talk or take time to listen? Do I bring tension into the room or calm? If you bring calm, people will return to you. Because in a noisy world, calm is rare and rare is valuable. Now let's talk about another important habit. Follow through. When you say something, do it. When you offer to help, follow up. When you show interest, don't disappear. People like people who keep their word. Even in small things. If you say, "Let's have coffee sometime," and never reach out, it weakens trust. But if you say, "I'll message you tomorrow," and you do, it builds trust. That trust becomes connection, and connection becomes likability. So don't make big promises. Just keep small ones. Be someone people can count on, even in simple ways. It could be a reminder, a short check-in, a smile the next time you see them. These actions create threads, and those threads form strong relationships. People will say, "I like that person." Even if they can't explain why, it's because they feel steady around you, safe around you, clear around you, and clarity is comforting. Now let me tell you one more story. A man named Ezra worked at a train station as a ticket agent. Every morning, hundreds of people passed by. Most were in a hurry, most never looked up. But Ezra always looked each person in the eye, smiled, and said, "Have a smooth ride." It was simple, but he said it every time. Not forced, not robotic, just real. One day, a woman stopped and said, "You're the only reason I don't hate my morning." Ezra smiled. "That's a good reason to keep doing it," he said, and he did. Every day. That's consistency. That's presence. That's power. You don't have to do much. You just have to show up with good energy, again and again, and people will like you. Because people are hungry for kindness, hungry for gentleness, hungry for real connection in a world full of noise. So be the quiet difference, the gentle spark, the calm energy in the middle of the storm. And people won't just like you, they'll remember you. Let's keep going. Because by now, you're starting to feel something shift inside. You're not just learning how to be liked, you're learning how to be real, and how to let people feel that. But what happens next? Let's say people do like you. They smile when you speak. They listen when you talk. They enjoy your presence. And maybe you start to feel pressure. Pressure to always be that person. To always perform. To always say the right thing. Let's talk about that. Because being liked is not about being perfect all the time. It's not about being available 24/7. It's about honest presence. So here's the truth. Just because people like you doesn't mean you have to give all of yourself away. You still get to have boundaries. You still get to protect your energy. You still get to say, "Thank you for liking me. But I also need time for myself." And if people truly respect you, they'll understand. You don't need to burn out to be loved. You don't need to overgive to stay accepted. Real connection allows room to breathe. So if you're someone who always gives, always listens, always says yes, take this as your permission to pause. You don't have to carry every conversation. You don't have to solve every problem. Sometimes the best way to connect is to be honest and say, "I care about you, and I also need rest today." That honesty creates deeper trust than fake enthusiasm. Now let's talk about something even more important. How do you stay grounded in your identity while also being open to others? Because some people fall into this trap. They change depending on who they're around. They speak one way with one group, and another way with someone else. They lose their center, and even though people may like them, they feel empty inside. Let me be clear. Flexibility is good, but authenticity is better. You can be flexible without being fake. You can be kind without becoming a copy. You can connect without losing yourself. And that begins with self-awareness. Ask yourself, who am I? When no one's watching, what do I value? What do I need to feel calm, clear, and honest? And then carry that version of yourself into every room. People may not always understand you, but the right ones will feel your energy and stay. Because when someone is comfortable in their own skin, they invite others to do the same. That's the kind of person people like without even knowing why. It's emotional gravity. It pulls people in. Now here's a concept that changes everything. Emotional magnetism. This isn't about being loud. It's not about trying to impress. It's about your inner calm, your inner clarity, the peaceful energy you carry that makes people want to be near you. You don't chase people. You don't perform. You don't beg for attention. You simply live with intention. You speak with purpose. You listen with care. You walk into a room and people feel something different. They can't explain it, but they like it, and they like you. So how do you build emotional magnetism? You slow down. You focus. You breathe before you speak. You let silence do half the work. You stop trying to convince others to like you. Instead, you become someone you like to be. That energy is felt, and it attracts others, not through pressure, but through peace. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Noor. She worked as a receptionist in a small clinic. She didn't say much, but her energy was like sunlight. She greeted everyone with a gentle smile. When patients were angry, she stayed calm. When children cried, she knelt down and comforted them with soft eyes and simple words. She didn't talk too much. She didn't try to stand out. But over time, everyone began to notice. They felt better just walking past her desk. Even the doctors said, "Noor's presence makes the whole place lighter." That's emotional magnetism. It's not something you buy. It's something you build, and you build it through peace, through presence, through quiet confidence that says, "I don't need to be loud to be felt." Now let's bring this back to English, because sometimes learners ask, how can I be magnetic if my English isn't strong? How can I connect when I'm afraid of saying the wrong word? Here's the answer. Magnetism doesn't need perfect words. It needs real emotion. If your tone is kind, if your body language is open, if your eyes say, "You matter," then even if your sentence is simple, the message is strong. Let's say you want to encourage someone, and you don't know the perfect grammar. You can still say, "I'm happy you're here. You're doing great. I like talking with you." These are not complex phrases, but they are complete, and they are clear. And when spoken with real feeling, they are powerful. People don't need perfection from you. They need sincerity, so speak with heart. Let your English grow slowly, but never wait to connect, because connection doesn't wait for perfection. It happens when we drop the mask and show the truth. And here's the truth. You are enough, even in progress. Even with mistakes, even with pauses, even with fear, you are enough. And when you believe that, others begin to feel it too, and they like you, not for what you pretend to be, but for who you already are. That's the greatest kind of likability. The kind that doesn't fade, the kind that doesn't break, the kind that doesn't need approval to be strong. So today I invite you to try something simple. The next time you meet someone, breathe, slow down, look them in the eye, and instead of thinking, "Do they like me?" ask yourself, "Can I make them feel safe with me right now?" If the answer is yes, then you're already magnetic, already likable, already enough. Let's keep going. By now, you've seen the truth. You don't need to be louder, smarter, or more exciting to be liked. You just need to be present and real. Now let's talk about something deeper. How do you become unforgettable? Not just liked, but remembered. Not just noticed, but felt. Most people think unforgettable means dramatic. They think it means being the center of attention, but that's not true. The most unforgettable people are often the quiet ones, the gentle ones, the ones who leave a kind fingerprint on your memory, not because they tried to impress you, but because they left you feeling better. And you can become that kind of person, not by doing something huge, but by doing something small, again and again. Let me show you how. You become unforgettable when you check in, when you ask, "How's your day going?" and really mean it. When you remember someone's name, when you notice their haircut, their effort, their progress, even if no one else does. You become unforgettable when you text someone just to say, "I hope today is kind to you," or when you remember what they said 2 weeks ago and follow up with, "Hey, how did your interview go?" These are not big gestures, but they are rare, and rare things stick in the heart. Think about it. In your own life, who are the people you never forget? The ones who shouted, or the ones who showed up in quiet, real ways? You already know the answer. So why not be one of them? Why not be the one who listens a little longer and cares a little deeper? You don't need a stage. You just need intention. Let's take that further. Because one of the biggest myths about being liked is that you need constant attention, that you need likes, comments, praise, applause. But let me tell you something important. You don't need attention. You need intention. Attention fades, but intention builds. Let me explain. Attention says, "Look at me." Intention says, "I'm here with you." Attention demands the spotlight. Intention creates connection. Attention needs approval to survive. Intention creates meaning, with or without applause. So how do you live with intention? You show up for people when there's nothing to gain. You speak kindly when no one is watching. You help when no one is clapping. You choose to see people, not for who they pretend to be, but for who they are underneath. And that's what people remember. They remember how your presence made them feel more human. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. He worked as a janitor in a university. Most students passed him every day without a word. But there was one young woman, Rachel, who always smiled every day. She would say, "Hi, Thomas. How are you today?" And he would light up. One day, Thomas didn't show up, and word spread that he had lost a family member and took time off. When he came back, he found a small card on his locker. It said, "We missed your smile. We're thinking of you." Signed, Rachel. That moment stayed with him for the rest of his life. Why? Because it wasn't for show. It was real. It was intention. And it made him feel important. You can do the same, in your own way. Just be real. Be kind. Be consistent. That's the formula. You don't need a big voice. You just need a big heart. Now let's shift to something many people struggle with, especially English learners, the need for approval. You want people to like you. You want them to say, "Good job." You want them to smile, respond, include you. And when they don't, you feel small. I understand. But let's talk about how to let go of that constant need. Because being liked is beautiful. But being free is even better. And freedom begins with this idea. Approval is a gift, not a requirement. If someone likes you, that's wonderful. If they don't, that's okay, because your value isn't based on someone else's opinion. It's based on your own respect for yourself. So instead of chasing approval, start building self-respect. How? By keeping promises to yourself, by speaking up when it matters, by resting when you're tired, by staying honest, even when it's hard. Every time you honor yourself, your self-respect grows, and the more you respect yourself, the less you need others to do it for you. You'll still appreciate love, but you won't depend on it, and that makes you powerful. People will feel that strength, and they'll be drawn to it. Let me say something clearly. You don't have to be liked by everyone. You just have to like the person you are becoming. Let that be your goal, not to be everyone's favorite, but to be your own favorite. Because when you walk into a room with quiet confidence, when you speak gently and clearly, when you stay kind, even when others are cold, you're telling the world, I know who I am, and I choose peace. That energy is magnetic. That truth is attractive, and people will want to be around it. Now let's close this part with something simple, a question to carry in your daily life. Before you speak, before you enter a room, before you respond, ask yourself, do I want to impress or connect? If you want to impress, you'll perform, you'll push, you'll pretend. But if you want to connect, you'll slow down, you'll breathe, you'll speak with kindness, not pressure. And that choice, again and again, will shape the way people see you. You'll no longer just be someone they like. You'll be someone they trust. And trust is the strongest kind of connection. Let's continue, because the deeper we go, the more we see. Being liked isn't about trying harder. It's about letting go of everything that's not true. It's about choosing presence over pressure. So now, let's talk about something most people overlook: the power of silence. In a world full of noise, people who are comfortable with silence stand out. Not silence because you don't know what to say, but silence that speaks, silence that listens, silence that holds space for others. Let me explain. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone fills every second? No pause, no breath, just words, words, words. It's overwhelming. It feels like they're trying to cover something. Now think of the opposite. Someone who speaks gently, who pauses between thoughts, who lets the moment breathe. That person feels strong, not because they say more, but because they say less, with more meaning. You don't need to rush. You don't need to talk fast to prove your value. In fact, the most powerful people often say very little. But when they speak, people listen. Because silence gives your words weight. It gives your presence depth. It gives your emotions room to grow. So next time you speak, try this. Say your sentence. Then, pause. Let it sit. Let the other person feel it. Let the space do some of the work. You'll notice something amazing. People lean in. They listen closer. They respect you more. Because silence is strength. You don't need to be loud to be heard. You just need to be still enough to be felt. Now let's go even deeper. Because many English learners worry about saying the wrong thing. They think, what if I make a mistake? What if I forget a word? What if I sound silly? But here's what matters more: how you carry the moment. Even if your grammar is wrong, even if your sentence is broken, if your energy is calm, if your tone is kind, if your face shows warmth, people will still like you because presence matters more than perfection. Let me say that again. Presence matters more than perfection. Think about this. A child learning to walk stumbles. They fall. They wobble. But we smile. We cheer them on. Why? Because they're real. They're trying. They're brave enough to keep going. That's how people see you when you speak English with effort and heart. They don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. So speak. Even if your voice shakes, even if your grammar is simple, even if your vocabulary is limited, speak with honesty, speak with care, speak from the heart, and you will connect. Even without perfect language. Let me share a story. A woman named Kira moved to a new city. Her English was basic, but every day she visited the same cafe. At first, she only said a few words. Coffee, no sugar. Thank you. But she always smiled, always made eye contact. One day, the barista asked, "What's your name?" She answered, Kira, and smiled again. The next day, her coffee cup said, "Good morning, Kira." Little by little, she added more words. "How are you today?" "Busy morning? Nice weather, right?" Not big sentences, but they were real, and every word was wrapped in presence. Soon she had friends, not because her English was perfect, but because her energy was warm, her presence was strong, her effort was beautiful. You can be like Kira. You already have that power. You don't need big words to touch someone's heart. You just need a small moment of honesty. Now let's talk about something very human. What do you say when you don't know what to say? We've all been there. You're in a new conversation. Someone shares something deep or emotional or difficult, and suddenly you freeze. Your mind is blank. You don't know what the right response is. Here's the secret. There is no perfect response. What matters is your presence. When someone is sad, they don't need a perfect sentence. They need your listening. When someone is celebrating, they don't need a speech. They need your joy. So if you ever feel stuck, just say what's true. I don't know what to say, but I'm here. That one sentence, it's enough. More than enough. Because it's real. And real is always welcome. Sometimes we forget that people don't want perfect company. They want honest company. The kind that doesn't run when things feel uncomfortable. The kind that stays. That listens. That cares. Even without the perfect words. So never be afraid of saying too little. If it's true, it's powerful. Let's pause here and reflect. So far, we've seen silence can make you powerful. Presence is stronger than perfection, and honesty is better than overthinking. These are not tricks. They're truths, and the more you practice them, the more people will feel it. They may not be able to explain it, but they'll remember you because you'll be different. Not loud, not polished, but real. And real is unforgettable. You don't have to change who you are. You just have to come back to who you are. Before the fear. Before the overthinking. Before the pressure to be liked. Because deep down, your presence is already enough. You just need to trust it. And when you do, others will trust it too. Let's continue. Because now we're entering one of the most misunderstood parts of human connection. Confidence. People think confidence means being loud, being first, being bold. But the truth is, the most attractive kind of confidence is the quiet kind. It's not about dominating the room. It's about being at peace with yourself, even when the room is noisy. Think about it. There's a difference between the person who needs to be heard and the person who doesn't need to speak to be noticed. That second person, calm, steady, open, carries something deeper. Their energy says, I don't need attention. I'm not here to perform. I'm here to be real. And that kind of energy is magnetic, because in a world full of noise, stillness stands out. Now let's look closer at what quiet confidence feels like. It's not about having all the answers. It's not about having perfect English. It's about being okay with not knowing and still showing up. It's about walking into a room and not shrinking. Not needing to prove, not needing to hide, just standing there, grounded in the truth that I am enough, as I am. When you carry that inside you, people feel it before you say a word. You become someone others want to be near, not because you sparkle, but because you settle the space. You bring calm to the chaos, and that calm is what people crave. Let me share a story. There was a man named Eli. He didn't speak much in meetings. He wasn't loud, but when he spoke, people listened. One day, a coworker asked him, "Why don't you speak more often?" Eli smiled and said, "Because I like to wait until I mean it." That sentence stayed with me. I like to wait until I mean it. That's quiet confidence, and that's what makes people respect you, like you, trust you. You don't have to speak often. But when you do, let your words carry meaning, and let your silence carry strength. Now let's explore something very important. The pace of the world is fast. Everyone wants everything now. Fast answers, fast replies, fast results. But connection doesn't rush. It unfolds. It deepens with time. So, if you want to build strong, lasting relationships, slow down. Let people feel your rhythm. Let your presence give them room to breathe. Even in conversation, pause more. Breathe more. Don't fill every second with words. Let space be part of the music. Let stillness be part of the story. You don't have to race. You just have to arrive fully. Let me give you something simple you can practice every day. When someone speaks, don't rush to reply. Let 3 seconds pass. Look at them. Let your eyes say, "I'm with you," then respond. This small habit, just a few seconds of silence, changes everything. It tells the other person, you matter. And in that space, connection begins. Let's go deeper into that, because when people feel rushed, they close up. But when they feel your patience, they relax. They speak more, they open up, and they start to trust you. So if you want people to like you, don't just be interesting, be interested. Curiosity is the doorway to connection. Ask people questions not to be polite, but because you want to know. What brings them joy? What are they struggling with? What makes them come alive? And then listen. Not with the goal of replying, not with the plan to impress. Just listen to understand. That kind of curiosity is rare, and rare things are remembered. Let me tell you something that may surprise you. You don't have to know what to say. You just have to care. That's it. If you care, it comes through. Even if your words are simple, even if you're nervous, even if your English isn't perfect, caring is a language everyone understands. Let me share a true story. A young woman named Hannah worked at a bookstore. She met hundreds of people every week. One day, an elderly man came in. He looked confused, lost. So she walked over and said gently, "Can I help you find something?" He nodded. "I'm looking for a book about memory. I've been forgetting things lately." Hannah didn't know much about memory books, but she said, "Let's look together." They searched, found something. As he was leaving, he paused and said, "You're the first person today who made me feel seen." That moment changed her. She realized, you don't need the perfect answer. You just need to stand beside someone for a moment. That's what people remember. That's what makes them like you. So don't worry if you don't have all the right words. Worry more about your presence, your patience, your genuine curiosity, because that's what builds bridges between people, and those bridges are stronger than any clever line. Now let's talk about something very simple, but powerful. When you meet someone new, start soft, not loud, not fast, just soft. A soft smile, a soft voice, a soft question. This sets the tone. It says, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to connect. And the other person's nervous system feels it. Their shoulders relax, their eyes soften, and they meet you with more openness. Softness doesn't mean weakness. It means strength without force, kindness without demand, presence without pressure. And it is one of the fastest ways to be liked. Try it. Next time you say hello, say it softly. Next time you ask how someone is, ask it with real feeling and a soft tone. You'll be amazed what opens up. Let's pause here for a moment. Let it sink in. You don't need to try harder. You need to soften deeper. Let go of the race. Let go of the performance. You already have what people are looking for. A calm heart, a warm voice, a kind spirit. Bring that into the room, and the right people will come closer. Not because you chased them, but because your presence invited them. Let's keep going, because we're now entering the heart of what really makes someone likable. It's not your jokes, not your appearance, not even your words. It's this: you make people feel emotionally safe. That's the real power. When people are around you, do they feel safe to be themselves, to speak honestly, to be quiet without pressure, to share without fear? If the answer is yes, they will like you, not just for 90 seconds, but for life. Because emotional safety is rare, and when people find it, they hold on to it. So how do you become that kind of person? Let's begin here. You don't judge quickly. You let people be human. You don't interrupt when they speak. You don't correct every mistake they make. You don't laugh at their fears or brush off their worries. You stay, you listen, you care. That is emotional safety, and it's more attractive than confidence, looks, or talent. Because most people are tired of being analyzed, tired of being compared, tired of hiding behind a smile. But when they meet someone who says, without words, it's okay, you're safe here, they exhale, and they start to show their real self. That's when connection begins, and you don't need fancy language to offer that. You just need stillness, openness, a steady kindness that doesn't change with the mood. Let's talk about that now. Consistency. Being consistent in your energy is one of the most likable traits. It means people know what to expect around you. They don't have to guess. They don't have to walk on eggshells. They don't have to prepare themselves emotionally before speaking to you, because you are steady. Your voice is familiar. Your reactions are soft. You're not one person on Monday and another on Thursday. You're not warm one minute and cold the next. You are predictable. In the best way. Predictable in your kindness. Predictable in your patience. Predictable in your peace. And that creates trust. Think of it this way. Imagine a place where the light is always gentle. The music is always calm. The feeling is always peaceful. You go there when you feel overwhelmed, and every time it gives you relief. That's what you become when you carry steady energy. You become someone's safe space, someone people look forward to seeing, not because you fix their problems, but because you don't add to their chaos. Let me tell you a story. A man named Malik worked at a train station cafe. He didn't talk much, but he was always there, always calm, always smiling. People came and went. Some were rude, some were kind. But Malik was the same. He remembered people's names, remembered how they liked their drinks. He didn't rush. He didn't react. He just served with grace. One day, a woman said to him, "I come here for the peace, not just the coffee." That's what people feel when your presence is consistent. They trust it, they lean into it, and without even realizing it, they begin to like you. Not for anything loud you did, but for everything quiet you gave. Now let's go even deeper, because likability isn't about what you do in one big moment. It's about what people feel from you in small ways, over time. And most of that feeling doesn't come from words. It comes from your presence. So let me ask you, when you walk into a room, what do people feel? Do they relax or do they tighten? Do they open up or do they close off? Your presence has energy. It either adds calm or adds pressure. And if you want people to like you, let your presence be soft, comforting, honest, like a breath of fresh air after a storm. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being kind when it's hard, being patient when it's messy, being true when it would be easier to perform. That kind of energy doesn't just make you likable. It makes you unforgettable. Now let's talk about something we all carry. The desire to be understood. Every person you meet is carrying something invisible. A story, a fear, a hope, and every person is asking in some silent way, "Can you see me without judging me?" If you can answer yes, not with words, but with how you listen, you become someone they remember. Because most people don't feel understood. They feel observed, or judged, or ignored. But when you nod slowly, when you say, "That makes sense," when you say, "I hear you," "Thank you for sharing," you give them a gift. You give them what they've been looking for without knowing it. And they begin to like you, not for your charm, but for your care. Let me say it clearly. People will forget your compliments, they'll forget your stories, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, especially when they were vulnerable. And you didn't flinch. So if you want to be liked, show up for the quiet moments, the awkward ones, the unsure ones, the moments when someone is showing you their real self and you don't run away. That's where trust is born. That's where connection grows. And that's where you become not just likable, but meaningful. Let's end this part with one final truth. You don't need a bigger personality to be liked. You need a softer spirit. You don't need to say more. You need to mean more. Let your words be few but full. Let your voice be soft but true. Let your presence be quiet but powerful. And people will like you, not because you tried, but because you were there, fully, honestly, and that is more than enough. Let's keep going. Because even when we try our best to be kind, even when we speak from the heart, even when our intentions are good, sometimes misunderstandings happen. Someone misreads your words. You say something and it doesn't land right, or maybe without meaning to, you hurt someone. What do you do then? How do you stay likable when something has gone wrong? Let's talk about it. Because people don't just like those who never make mistakes. They like people who know how to repair connection, with honesty, not ego. Let's start with this. When something goes wrong, don't run. Don't hide, and don't rush to defend yourself. Instead, lean in. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it wasn't your fault. Even if you don't know exactly what to say. You don't need the perfect words. You just need a real heart. Let's say someone says to you, "That thing you said earlier, it hurt my feelings." And inside, you're surprised. Maybe even a little hurt yourself. Maybe you didn't mean it that way at all. But pause. Breathe. And ask yourself, is this a moment to fight or a moment to listen? You already know the answer. So try something like this. I didn't realize it came across that way, but I really hear you, and I'm sorry it hurt. That one sentence. It doesn't erase the mistake, but it opens the door. It tells the other person, I care more about this connection than being right. And that's rare. That kind of humility builds deep respect because it takes courage to own your impact, even if it wasn't intentional. Now let's go deeper. Sometimes the person doesn't say anything. They just go quiet or pull away or change their energy, and you're not sure what happened. Don't guess, don't overthink, don't spiral into guilt or anxiety. Instead, take a quiet step forward. You could say, hey, I just want to check in. Are we okay? Or even, if I said something that felt off, please tell me. I want to understand. That alone shows maturity and emotional safety because you're inviting truth, not forcing comfort, not ignoring discomfort, but inviting real talk in a soft, respectful way. And when people feel that, they soften too. Even if it takes time, remember this. You don't have to fix everything right away. You just have to stay available. That's how connection repairs. Now let's talk about emotional honesty, because it's one of the fastest and strongest ways to make people trust you. But also, one of the most forgotten. Emotional honesty doesn't mean spilling your whole life story. It means being real about how you feel, in the moment. Saying things like, I'm nervous, but I want to try. Or, I'm not sure what to say, but I want to be here with you. That level of openness, it breaks walls, because most people walk around hiding, pretending, smiling on the outside while shaking inside. But when you drop the mask, just a little, and say what's true, it gives them permission to do the same. Let's imagine this. You're in a new group. You don't know anyone. You feel shy. Instead of pretending to be confident, you smile and say, I always get quiet at first in new places, but I'm glad to be here. That honesty makes you real, and real makes people feel relaxed, because they realize you're not trying to impress them. You're just trying to be yourself. That's attractive, that's likable, and that's something everyone wants more of. Here's something powerful to remember. People don't connect to your strength. They connect to your humanness, your soft moments, your honest fears, your effort to grow. Let me tell you a story. There was a teacher named Samir. He had a student, quiet, distant, often missing classes. One day, instead of scolding the student, Samir sat down beside him and said, You don't have to tell me everything, but I just want you to know I see you, and if you ever want to talk, I'm here. No lecture, no pressure, just presence. That student didn't open up right away. But a week later, he stayed after class, and he said, You were the first person who didn't ask me to explain, just to exist. That one sentence changed Samir's life, and it stayed with me too. You don't have to fix people, just stay beside them. That's the most powerful kind of help. Let's reflect. By now, you've learned so much about being liked, and none of it has to do with tricks or popularity. It's about your presence, your softness, your curiosity, your patience, your ability to listen even when it's hard, your ability to apologize even when it's awkward, your ability to stay kind even when the world feels unkind. These are the things that make people remember you, not because you sparkled, but because you stayed real. And that's what we all need more of. So if you ever find yourself wondering, do they like me? Change the question. Ask, did I show up with love? Did I offer calm? Did I listen with care? If the answer is yes, then you've already won. Because your role isn't to be loved by everyone. It's to be a gentle light in a room that might be a little too loud, a warm corner in a world that often feels cold, a soft voice that says, "You're okay. You matter." And when you become that kind of person, you won't need to be liked because people will already be drawn to you, not for what you give them on the outside, but for how you make them feel on the inside. That's the truth. That's your power, and it begins the moment you stop trying to impress and start choosing to connect. Let's bring everything together. We've been on a long journey. You've learned that being liked has nothing to do with being perfect. It has everything to do with being present. You've seen that people are drawn to warmth, not performance, to sincerity, not show, to steadiness, not flash. And now let's close with one story, the kind of story that stays with you. There was a woman named Leon. She wasn't famous, she wasn't loud, she wasn't someone most people would notice in a crowd. But something about her made people feel safe. Everywhere she went, people opened up, in elevators, in classrooms, on park benches. Strangers would talk to her as if they'd known her for years. One day, a younger co-worker asked her, "What's your secret?" Leon smiled and said, "I don't try to be interesting. I try to be interested." He nodded slowly. "That's it?" She said, "That's it. Because people don't want to be impressed. They want to be felt. And when someone truly listens to you, when someone looks at you like you matter, when someone says very little, but says it with heart, you never forget them." That was Leon. And you can be like her. Not by trying to be like her, but by being more of you, by stripping away the fear, by softening the edge, by letting the real you speak, without rushing, without pressure, without apology. That is where connection lives, and that's what makes people like you. So here's the invitation. In your next conversation, don't rush, don't perform, just breathe. Look the other person in the eye. Let your energy say, "I see you. I'm not here to fix you. I'm just here with you." And in that moment, something powerful will happen. They'll relax, they'll smile, they'll feel safe, and they'll remember you. Even if you only spoke for 90 seconds, because real connection doesn't need hours. It needs honesty. So from this moment forward, stop asking, "Do they like me?" And start asking, "Did I make them feel safe? Did I show up with kindness? Did I offer real attention, even for a moment?" That's the new definition of being likable, not controlling the conversation, not being the smartest or funniest person in the room, just being the one who made others feel seen, without needing anything in return. That's your quiet power. That's your lasting impression, and that's how you become unforgettable. In a world that forgets too quickly. So before we end this episode, I'll leave you with one final whisper of truth. You don't have to say the perfect thing. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to fix the moment. You just have to stay. With soft eyes, a soft voice, a steady heart, and the courage to be fully present with whoever stands in front of you for just 90 seconds. That is more than enough. And if you bring that into your day, again and again, you will become the kind of person people not only like, but trust and remember and choose to be near again and again. Thank you for walking with me on this journey. I'm proud of you for learning with your heart wide open, and I hope you carry this calm confidence into every conversation from now on. I'll see you in the next episode. But for now, take a deep breath and go connect. One real moment at a time.